freezing April night in 1912, the largest, most luxurious ship ever built sank into the North Atlantic in under 3 hours. It was called Unsinkable. It carried some of the richest people in the world, and over 1,500 of them never made it home. This is the story of the Titanic, not the movie, the real one. In 1912, the White Star Line launched the RMS Titanic, a ship so massive it stood taller than an 11-story building, and so advanced that newspapers called it practically unsinkable. It had 16 watertight compartments. Even if 4 of them flooded, engineers believed it would still stay afloat. The ship carried over 2,200 passengers and crew. In first class, some of the wealthiest people on Earth, including businessman John Jacob Astor IV, one of the richest men in the world. In third class, hundreds of immigrants chasing a new life in America. On April 10th, 1912, the Titanic departed Southampton, England, on its very first voyage. Its destination, New York City. It would never arrive. For 4 days, the voyage was smooth. But that week, the North Atlantic was unusually warm, which meant more icebergs than normal had broken off from Greenland's glaciers and drifted into shipping lanes. Throughout April 14th, the Titanic received at least 6 iceberg warnings from nearby ships. Some warnings were logged. One was never delivered to the bridge at all. The radio operators were too busy sending passenger messages to bother relaying it. The ship continued at near top speed, 22 knots into a known ice field, at night, with no moon. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14th, lookout Frederick Fleet spotted something in the darkness ahead. He rang the warning bell 3 times and telephoned the bridge. Iceberg, right ahead. The crew tried to turn the ship and reverse the engines. It wasn't enough. The iceberg scraped along the starboard side of the hull, below the waterline, invisible from the deck. The impact felt minor to most passengers. Some didn't even wake up. But below deck, the damage was catastrophic. The iceberg had torn a series of gashes across 6 of the 16 watertight compartments. The unsinkable ship could survive 4 flooded compartments, not 6. Within minutes, Captain Edward Smith and shipbuilder Thomas Andrews inspected the damage. Andrews, who had designed the ship, did the math. He gave the Titanic 1 to 2 hours before it went under. At 12:05 a.m., the order came: uncover the lifeboats. But the Titanic only carried 20 lifeboats, enough for about half the people on board. Regulations at the time didn't require more. They were based on outdated ship tonnage rules, not passenger count. Many of the early lifeboats launched half-empty. Passengers didn't believe the ship was really sinking. Some refused to leave the deck. The band continued playing, reportedly to keep passengers calm. The order women and children first was enforced unevenly. In first class, survival rates were high. In third class, many passengers were kept below deck by locked gates meant to comply with U.S. immigration laws. And by the time they reached the boat deck, most lifeboats were already gone. By 2 a.m., the ship's bow was fully submerged. The stern rose into the air as the ship's structure couldn't bear the strain, and the Titanic broke in half. Both pieces sank within minutes, taking hundreds of people still on board down with them. Of the roughly 2,224 people aboard, more than 1,500 died, mostly from hypothermia in the 28-degree water. The nearby ship Carpathia arrived around 4 a.m., too late for most, but in time to rescue about 700 survivors from the lifeboats. The disaster led to sweeping changes in maritime law, mandatory lifeboat space for every person aboard, 24-hour radio watch, and the creation of the International Ice Patrol, which still tracks icebergs in the North Atlantic today. The wreck itself wasn't found until 1985, resting over 12,000 feet below the surface, split in two, exactly as survivors described. The Titanic wasn't just a shipwreck. It was a warning about arrogance, class inequality, and the cost of believing something is unsinkable. Over a century later, it remains one of the most studied disasters in history, a story of tragedy, heroism, and the thin line between confidence and catastrophe. If you want more real history stories like this, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.